Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we're going to be showing you probably the best and most effective formation if you obviously with Ultimate Team of the season here now, if you want to get the best score this weekend. We're going to be showing you what I think are maybe not my favorite tactics to use, but they are the most effective. So if you do want to get the best results, these are the best to use. So if you enjoy the content, you do want to see more, make sure you drop a sub on the channel. It really does help us out massively. Make sure you follow us on Twitch. The link to that will be in the description. We're going to hopefully be streaming a lot over the summer. I'm also into FIFA 21, so make sure you do follow us over there. It would be much appreciated. So, of course, the formation is the 4-2-3-1 formation. Now, this formation is obviously what most people deem to be the best formation. And if you ask any top-level player, better players than me, top 100 players and pro players and Elite 1 players, they all use 4-2-3-1. And now, the difference with what they use is they will all use very different tactics to what I use. But for me personally, I don't want to endorse those sort of tactics. Whilst they are probably more effective than the tactics I'm going to be showing you today, I don't personally want to endorse those type of tactics in my community. So hopefully you guys will understand that. So these are the tactics that I personally use. This is my defensive tactic, defensive game plan for my 4-2-3-1 in my actual formation setup. I use it unbalanced, of course. I don't like to play on any sort of press. It doesn't personally suit my style of play. Width-wise, you want to be pretty narrow. The defensive width is going to make your team a lot more narrow, obviously, in defense, but it's not going to make it... It is going to mean that you are going to concede a few more chances, and even this weekend, I'm 5-0 at the moment. I have been conceding, obviously, a decent amount of chances down the wings because you obviously are naturally quite narrow, but there is something you can do in game to change that. Depth-wise, now here is the big one. I play on 4 depth personally. Now some people might think even that's a little bit too defensive, but I'm not somebody who if you want to play at the top level of FIFA, you'd be crazy to play on anything higher than 5. You would struggle a lot. More so because just most people do play the opposite. They play, 1 depth, and they will play on drop. This is how most people will play. Most people will play like that, drop back 1 depth. I personally don't want to play like that. I don't want to endorse that. So I play on balanced and 4 depth. If you try and play on anything higher at sort of 5 or 6 depths, you're just going to get countered by those people all the time. So personally, I find 4 depth works very, very well for me, and it's very effective. Offensive style. Now, here is where you have 2 choices, especially with the 4-2-3-1. You can go long ball or you can go fast build up. I personally prefer long ball. Now, a lot of people would like to go with fast build up. Obviously, it means your player is going to obviously be a lot quicker when you're attacking. You're going to be able to create a few more chances potentially, but it depends if you're playing people that do play drop back themselves. Then fast build up just means you're going to get to those 10 men behind the ball a lot faster. You're still going to have the same trouble trying to get behind them. The reason why I opt against fast build up is, whilst like I just explained, with fast build up you are obviously going to get to your opponent's 10 in defense a lot quicker than you will in long ball. However, with fast build up, it does give your opponent a bigger opportunity to counter you because your players are all out of position, especially as it explains, you're more open to a counter attack. Whereas in the long ball, it's just your attacking line that gets forward, so you still have your defensive line back. So long ball I find is a lot less likely to get countered from, so that's why I use that. And offensive width, again, I personally play on 4. This is mainly because I want to keep my 2 CDMs quite narrow. My back 4 and all that is relative to the defensive, but in terms of the attacking style, I want to keep my attacking players quite narrow, especially more my midfielders. I want to keep them quite tight in midfield. I want them to be difficult to break through. I almost want to force people out into the wings because then they're going to have to look for a cutback. They're going to have to look for a pass back, and that's where the narrowness of my midfielders is hopefully going to come in clutch. And then players in the box, corners and free kicks, I have on standard. If you want to avoid counter-attacks even more, you could have corners on 1. I personally like to have a couple of players in the box, just because sometimes I like to work a short corner sometimes. It's nice to have a few players up there to be able to get some shots away. Now, in the instructions, this is where it all comes in clutch. Now, sweeper keeper is a natural, and obviously the back 4 all on stay back while attacking. I go overlap. It just suits me. I like to have my players stretched wide, especially my fullbacks. Now, you could say that when they go forwards, that's a bit of a negative because a lot of people are naturally now, because you've told your team to be quite narrow, people are going to attack you out on the wing. So if you do feel like that is a problem, then you could just stick with mixed attack. And then your players will sometimes make the inverted runs. I just don't like the inverted runs, even when it is on mix, because I just feel like it clutters up your team a little bit too much and just makes everything a little bit too narrow. This is already quite a narrow formation, so I just think that that's going to just have a few too many bodies, especially if people are playing drop back. The two midfielders, now I've got Tevez there, who I don't normally play with. Carlos Tevez at CDM, he normally plays as my cam, but cut passing lanes, stay back while attacking, normal interceptions, and cover center. One issue, now I don't know if you guys have this issue or not, one issue that I always have, especially with my CDMs, now it definitely, my personnel is going to be a big part of this, but I find that my CDMs never intercept the ball enough, regardless of the level of interceptions I have on. It's probably just the players I have, but I like normal interceptions, especially for your CDMs. I think it's the way to go. Stay back while attacking, of course. Cut passing lanes, again, it's going to make your players intercept those balls, and cover center because you already got a little bit of width out wide, so you don't need your guys to go out and cover. Now, in terms of the two outside cams, now this is where it becomes a little bit different. Now, we've actually told our wide players to come back on defense. Now, this is an effective tactic. Is it like an ethical tactic? No, it's not necessarily played in the spirit of FIFA. But if you want to have a more solid team, if you're someone that's conceding a few too many chances, then come back on defense is a great way to do it. Especially if your players obviously we're giving up chances out wide. Naturally, it would make sense that you do want your wide players to come back and help out a little bit. This is not seen as necessarily a great tactic to use, but it is an effective tactic. It does work, and the fact that we're not playing drop back, I don't think it makes it too bad. I think it's just smart to have your players on comeback on defense. It does work. Get into the box for crosses. Obviously, you still want our players getting forward, getting in and creating chances. And we're going to have the attacking players all on aggressive interceptions because I want to try and win the ball higher up the pitch without playing on a press and it affecting the rest of my team. Now, Dybala, my central cam, I've actually opted to have him stay forward. Well, not stay forward, but on balanced defensive support. I didn't want him to come back on defense as well because then that is just going to be a little bit too defensive. And not only is that necessarily not like an ethical way to play or seen as like a fun way to play, I personally don't like it because I don't like to lean on my defense because I'm not the greatest defender in the world. My strength is definitely my attacking. And I don't like to kind of like rely on my defense. I don't feel comfortable not having the ball. So I like to have him on basic. Also allows the fact that he's going to link up really well with Lewandowski. You're just going to have those two players up top rather than just one. So Dybala and Lewandowski, when you do get out, and when you do receive the ball, you're going to have a couple of players still up the pitch, and you're going to be able to link. Those two are going to be able to link up well together, and it's just going to mean that you're just going to find it a little bit easier to get out and start to play and find and create some space. Get into box crosses, normal, free roam. Interceptions wise, I've actually got Dybala on normal interceptions because his role is to kind of float around and help people. His role is not to kind of intercept the ball, and that's the reason why we've not got him on aggressive interceptions. And then Robert Lewandowski up top, we've got stay central. Obviously, I like to have him on stay central. I like my strikers to be in between the sticks, and he is an incredible finisher. I've already shown you many times his goal ratios, and you'll see many times that he scores goals. He's just a wonderful finisher, so we don't want him drifting out wide in pointless positions. You've got Messi and Ronaldo out on the wings that I want to be kind of creating the opportunities, and Lewandowski, Dybala, Tevez, players like that to be putting them away. Of course, naturally as well, got him on aggressive interceptions, and like we said, we don't want him on comeback on defense as well. That would make it like super defensive, and I just think I find that makes it even harder to play because it's so hard to get out. You just find that even when you get the ball, you look forward and you've got literally no one to pass the ball to. So I personally don't like to play that way, and it's not necessarily played in the spirit of FIFA in the first place. So that is the 4-2-3-1 cover. Now, it is an effective formation. You can make it a hell of a lot worse than I've made it, but these are the tactics that I like to use. I don't like to get like super defensive about it. I don't like to kind of go all the way sort of the way that a lot of people play, drop back one depth, and then they'll have everybody on comeback on defense, and I really don't like to play that way, and it really doesn't suit the way that I like to play FIFA. I like to play FIFA on the front foot. At the moment, I'm playing in a 4-3-3-4. That's kind of my starting formation. If I'm playing somebody who I know is like a really good player, I'll play into this 4-2-3-1 formation because I'll need to sweat it out a bit because more than likely that's what they're going to be doing as well. So against kind of like casuals and sort of lower tier players, I'll play in the 4-3-3-4. Against like top quality opponents and really good players that are going to sweat it out, I'll have to sweat it out and match him with my sweat in the 4-2-3-1. But that is how I set up for this weekend league during Ultimate Team of the Season. So if you do enjoy the content and the video and you do want to see more, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It would be much appreciated. Make sure you do drop us a follow on Twitch, as we are going to be streaming hopefully a lot more over the summer and into FIFA 21. So if you could drop a follow over there, it would be much appreciated. But that is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.